Yo, Descendant, Augiesaint here, and I hope you guys are having a fantastic day. We have the updated jumping Ajax for you guys. He is so much stronger now with the addition of the new mods, the non-attribute amplification as well as the tech amplification, giving us access to a bunch of skill power modifier as well as just raw skill power that we never had access to before. And we kind of just gave up a little bit of quality of life with our Ajax. We gave up MP Collector and then we gave up one extra HP mod, but we gained so much damage in return. I think it is a worthy trade because the way we have it set up, our cooldowns are very short. As you guys can see in the background, we are jumping around, exploding all over the place, void expulsions, jumping, and the cooldowns are super short. We have a ton of damage and we actually have 15,000 HP as well as around 7k defense. So we are pretty tanky even though we're only running the 1 HP mod. It's really fun. So without further ado, let's just hop straight into the build. So let's have a look at the module setup. These are the mods we are running. If you guys want to see the sockets, those are the sockets there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 M's. We have 2 triangles, we have 2 R's and 1 C. Those are the sockets we have over there. And now switching over to the actual modules. The Transcendent mod we are going to choose is Void Explosion, and the reason we choose this is because we get 2 stacks of our Void Explosion, and this is where the brunt or like the most of our damage actually comes from. As you guys can see, it is doing 1018 skill power, and then when we get the enhanced version, it's doing 1121 of our skill power, so it's really strong. But the reason is we get 2 stacks of this. It's on a very short cooldown, and then the MP cost is a little bit cheaper than running the jump. As you guys can see, the jump's cooldown is quite a bit longer, and the damage is basically half of the damage. The radius is the same, especially when you have this one on the maxed out version. The enhanced version at 17.2. The jump is 17.2 by default, so the jump technically has better range. So if you do end up running with Void Charge, you will get another stack on the jump, so you can kind of make up for it with the cooldown. But the Void Expulsion has literally half the cooldown. I mean 3.2 versus the 6.4. It's literally half the cooldown. So you get to spam this twice and you can jump and you can like reposition, and you can spam these 2 more times. You can reposition with the jump. And that's just the preferred playstyle that we like to go, is with the explosion. As well as another reason is when you have the Void Explosion on, it doesn't remove the Enhanced Leap's extra added effect. As you guys can see there at the bottom, Enhanced Leap shield increase amount of your max shield by 103%. And you also get continuous shield recovery 2.5%. So what that means is when you get to the enhanced jump, so you guys know when you build up 3 of your void energy bars and then you jump, you will gain that benefit. But if you have the void charge on, we go ahead and put this on real quick on another slot, it actually removes that completely. So as you guys can see there, completely removes that. Now the skill power does go up a little bit as well as bringing the cooldown down, so you can make it work with that. It's just personal preference. The damage is still nowhere near as much as the void explosions. Even with this mod on, the void explosions are doing 1060 and this is still only doing 634. So that is why we prefer to run it with the void explosions. But you can take the exact same build and you can switch out. If you want to jump around more often and do less void explosions, you could go ahead and run void charge. The builds are exactly the same, identical. And then one final reason why I prefer to run void explosion is it doesn't change the damage type of your fist. You can see this is tech damage and this is tech damage, but if we run the void charge, this actually becomes dimension and this becomes tech, so you have less chance to proc your pest control, which we will be using with the build on Secret Garden, because Secret Garden procs pest control when you use a tech skill. So with this Ajax build, by running with the Void Explosion, we're going to be spamming these 2 abilities and we'll pretty much always have the pest control up, so it ends up doing a lot of damage in conjunction with the Secret Garden. But when you are running the other mod, since this is going to be the tech one, it's going to have a shorter cooldown and you will have 2 stacks of it. For the most part, you will actually keep your Secret Garden buff up quite easily as well. Just saying, this one is a little bit easier because we do have, you know, both skills being tech, but completely up to you. Just giving you guys the rundown on the different options between the 2 Transcendence mods. And the other Transcendence mods, they don't really do much for a mobbing slash, you know, jump jacks build. They're more for like bossing builds and supporty kind of builds. So that is why we're only covering the Void Charge and Void Explosion. Use whichever one you want. I prefer to go with Void Explosion. Now let's actually have a look at the rest of the mods. We are running both of the new mods, the non-attribute amp, giving us a massive amount of non-attribute skill power, as well as tech amp, giving us a massive amount of tech skill power modifier. Now we are also running power increase over the focus non-attribute. The damage difference between this is actually quite large, and the easiest way to test this is to just go into the lab, spawn yourself in an enemy, and let's actually take off our Secret Garden right now. So let's make sure we have power increase on. We have power increase, no Secret Garden equipped, and our first explosion is 480. And now we just have to wait until we're out of combat. We can switch that over to non-focus on non-attribute would be the other one you would want to run, because this will give you a little bit more cooldown. Let's go ahead and switch that out. Focus on non-attribute. Remember, it was 480. and now actually doing 414. So that's quite a lot of damage that you're missing out on, especially when you have all your stacks up, because you go at 3 stacks and get quite a bit more damage. See there, it's at 452, but now if you had power increase on, that would be well over 500 and something K damage. So giving up the cooldown over there, we like to get the cooldown back by getting the cooldown on the reactor, the perfect reactor, which we'll get to further on in the video. We'll get to replace that cooldown there. So instead, we're going to pick up the blue mod, the power increase for like 70k damage increase per explosion. That does add up. That's a lot of damage, especially when you get to the bosses. You can actually just kill the bosses by using your explosions. And then if we stack up the secret guard, you can see we're now at 3 stacks. Okay, let's go ahead and try an enhanced explosion. Fully stacked, pest control, enhanced explosion, 1 million damage white. That's a lot of damage, boys. So just saying, that is also running without the Slayer set. So Ajax does hit like a truck, as he should. I mean, look at him, big burly bull man. So let's carry on with those mods. So that is why we choose to run power increase. And then we move over to our range. We are running maximized range alongside skill expansion, just to get the maximum range that we can out of these explosions. The range is still not as good as, you know, like a bunny or a Frame or something, but it is pretty respectable at 17.2 meters. When you do the enhanced explosion, when you do a normal explosion, it's only 11.5 meters, whereas the jump is always 17.2 meters. That's why I said before, you could like switch between that if you feel like you need the range more. But doing this, once you get to the boss and you start spamming these void explosions, the bosses are just going to start melting away. Especially if you do get cooldown on your reactor, this drops down to a 2.5 second cooldown. And when you get the fully stacked up void energy, it kind of like does a little weird reset. So you can almost spam 3 of these really, really fast. So you really just start melting away on the bosses. And we're also running focus on tech as another attack boost modifier. But we are getting some more cooldown from there. I showed you guys why we're running power increase over the focus. We're running maximized conservation. Now this one is actually pretty important because the amount of skills we're going to be spamming, as you can see there, the skill is pretty expensive, costing us 30 MP. The jump is costing 35 MP. So if we didn't have maximized conservation, those would be really expensive, because now I've actually brought them down to 19.4. And since you have such low cooldowns on this build, yeah, you're going to definitely want to make sure you have maximized conservation to help you with that skill cost reduction. Otherwise, you're just going to run out of MP really fast, especially since we aren't running anything like MP collector on the build either. But by having it this way, we never really have MP problems until we get to the boss. But then you just kill some ads or stuff, and if you don't spam as much on the boss and switch to your gun maybe, you're perfectly fine throughout the run, especially in the 400% dungeons. There's so many mobs everywhere and they're just dropping MP left, right and center. But if you don't have maximized conservation, you will hit a pretty hard wall by running out of MP quite fast on this. Maybe you could get lucky in the 400%, but we like to have consistency and just keep it smooth. So that's why I suggest running maximized conservation. And then we have HP over there just for a flat amount of HP increase. We can see we're sitting pretty healthy at a 15.4k HP, quite a bit of HP on the build. So we are tanky. We are not a piece of paper. Pretty strong, tanky boy. And then lastly, we have our 2 cooldown modes. MP conversion. We do lose a little bit of MP there, but it's not the end of the world thanks to maximized conservation. And nimble fingers just to round it off with giving us some more cooldown. Obviously, you can run whatever you want in your grappling hook slot. We just run mid-air maneuvering because it's really fun. You can mid-air maneuver with him like this, and you can actually hit your explosion as you get to the end of it. So you can kind of like maneuver around the dungeon, jump around, and then do your explosion, and grappling hook and explosion. Just makes it feel really fun and gives you a lot of mobility on Ajax with having the mid-air maneuver. But up to you, run whatever you want from there. So that is how we do the module setup. Pretty simple. Just added those 2 new mods by dropping, I think we had a second HP mod on our last build, as well as MP collector. So we dropped those, added more damage. We kept all the quality of life, increased range, HP, cooldown, and then the resource cost so we can keep up with the spammy boy. Now let's have a look at our reactor and our components. First up, we have the materialized mechanics reactor. You want to get yourself a secret garden mounting, as it's really important to use the secret garden with this build. It actually helps you build up some of your resource sometimes, but the main thing we're using it for is that pest control for that damage increase. And then on the reactor, the stats you're going to be looking for is going to be tech skill power boost ratio. As you can see, the second stat over here for us is completely dead. We actually have electric skill boost ratio. I can't wait until they actually fix that one day. I never want to see electric on like the non-attribute one, or fire on like a cold reactor or something like that. Please remove the unusable elements on reactors next on, please. We are begging you. But other than that, the stats we want are tech skill boost ratio would be the best, and then you want cooldown reduction, like I said before, would make up for the focus mod that you missed. That will drop your explosion all the way down to a 2.5 second one if you have like a maxed out cooldown. I believe there there's one there. This is not maxed out, but it's pretty close. So let's go ahead and switch that on. And now our cooldown is all the way down to 2.5 seconds. So even if you don't have a maxed out one, you can get some pretty decent cooldown. So let me go put that back on. So most important thing is to get the Secret Garden mounting. Make sure it has tech skill power on it, or you could even go for non-dimensional boost. And then the last thing you want on it is cooldown reduction. But you can also go without the cooldown reduction. As you guys see, I ran the 400%, no worries without the cooldown, and pick yourself up a double damage roll. So tech skill power boost as well as non-attribute skill power boost. That'll just give you the ultimate amount of damage. But if you do get that roll, you might want to actually come into the training ground and then try out power increase. I think maybe then power increase might be a little bit less, just because you have so much of the same boost at that point. You'll have non-attribute quite high. So just double check when you do have a reactor. If you are going to run double damage, come into the lab and then check if the power increase does more damage, or if the focus on non-attribute will give you more damage. Now lastly, let's have a look at our component sets. We are running the Invader 4-piece. The only reason we're running this is so we can actually be quite a bit tankier. You can run the Slayer set. That will give you a lot more damage, but you will lose out on tankiness, and you'll also get a skill increase, so it's going to be a little bit harder to spam your skills. So overall, after all my testing and stuff, the Invader set just felt so much better to use. You don't need the Invader set, so to say. You just need a set with like good HP stats on and defensive stats. You know, just get as much HP and defensive stats as you can. But then on the sensor, you want to make sure you get a max MP roll as well as an MP recovery in combat. Those are very important. Pretty much every single build benefits greatly from getting MP on the sensor. And then the rest of the stats is just all defensive HP, fire rays. We've got HP on this one, MP recovery modifier. That's pretty important, but it's not a deal breaker. This is way more important. And then on the CPU, we got max shield and toxic rays with some more HP over there. So all of these just have really good base stats. If you don't have the Invader set, just get something with similar stats with HP on the top, and then all these rolls that I am showing you over here. From the Invader processor set, if you do have the Invader set, you will actually gain a tech skill power modifier of 4.1, and that is not a massive skill power modifier, but any damage is a little bit of added damage. Like I said before, you could switch this out to the Slayer set if you wanted, but it'll be a little bit more sweaty and won't be as comfy as just running, you know, like a strong component set, because you will lose quite a bit of HP as well as your skills costing more, but you will do a little bit more damage. But honestly, with the amount of damage we're doing, we're just running through these 400% quite easily on Ajax, and with this component set, it's just super comfy because we have a lot of HP to play with, and I prefer doing this over the Slayer set. Even though I do love doing a ton of damage, I would rather just, you know, have a comfy little run through the 400% instead of being sweaty all the time and running for those health orbs and almost being on the verge of death. And then lastly, I could show you guys the Secret Garden mods. I'm pretty much never using my weapon in this Ajax build anyway, but just a very basic build. We got the double attack power boosts there. We got concentration priority for the massive amount of crit damage. Got some more crit over there. We got some more crit chance. We got weak spot. We got expand weapon charge for increased magazine. On this element slot, I haven't actually put a catalyst on it, so you can just switch that out depending on whatever you want. And then we got fire rate up. And then lastly, we have sweeping squad. This is what we use when we use our weapon for mobbing, because when you kill enemies, even if you are killing enemies with your abilities, you'll still get the stack of this. Now, don't take the Secret Garden for granted. This thing is going to do a lot of damage, especially since you have up pest control. And pest control does give you skill power, but it also gives you firearm attack as well. So if you are in a pinch, you're out of MP or whatever, and you need to shoot something really quickly, the Secret Garden is going to do a lot of damage by itself, especially when you have it fully modded up. But that's going to be it for the video. Hopefully you guys found it helpful, and you can get out there and jump away on Ajax, bring glory to the name of the Jax. He is really fun. Honestly, he's not my preferred playstyle. I much rather prefer Freyna or Bunny, but I know a lot of people do like Ajax. That's why we slapped together this build and tried out the new mods for you guys. If you enjoy, have some fun, and if you like the video, please drop a like and a sub to the channel. Helps me out so much, and I'll catch you beautiful people in the next video as well as the live streams. Augiesaint now.
Run free and dive into the sky. Hear the wind crying.